Welcome to VitaFriends Voices, a podcast brought to you by Vitaflo, where we will share your stories. And each episode will bring you engaging interviews with inspiring individuals who are either living with a protein disorder or are experts at the forefront of the field. The focus of today's episode is phenylketonuria, or PKU for short. And our guest today is Bianca, who will be talking about her experiences of growing up with PKU. We are sure that her insights will help inspire young adults with PKU on how to live life well and not let their condition hold them back. So, Kit, as our resident specialist dietitian, could you quickly explain to the audience what PKU is?
Of course I can, Graham. So PKU is a rare genetic disorder that causes an amino acid called phenylalanine, or Phe for short, to build up in the body. So people with PKU need to follow a special diet that significantly restricts the intake of protein, which is found in many foods and beverages. The diet typically includes Phe-free or low-Phe protein substitutes and foods that are free from, or again, low in Phe. So if PKU is well managed, then people like our guest here today can live normal, healthy lives. And today on the pod, we've got Bianca, who is a postdoctoral research fellow at a research institute in Sydney, Australia. So Bianca loves staying active, cooking and traveling, and she's here today to share her top tips to live life well with PKU. So welcome to the VitaFriends Voices podcast, Bianca.
Thank you very much for having me, Graham and Kit.
It's great to have you. So just before we begin, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself, just for the listeners and the audiences to get to know you?
No problems. I'm an adult with PKU living in Sydney, Australia. I come from an Italian background family, so grew up with lots of food around me. Food's a huge part of our culture and how I grew up as well. I went to school, went to university. I've got a degree in engineering and psychology, and I've done my PhD now and working as a researcher in crash protection and safety of people in cars. And I'm pretty active. I've played hockey most of my life. I love getting out in nature and love eating healthy and like cooking. Yeah, so that's a little bit about me.
Fantastic. You've accomplished quite a lot.
Yeah, I think I'm someone that loves to always keep learning and pushing myself, and I've done that academically, obviously, and trying to keep up the sport and physical exercise as well, and try and push myself that way too.
I'm very interested in your job, actually, in terms of the crash test dummies. Do you work with crash test dummies? Have to ask you that question.
We do. We've got 3 crash test dummies. So we've got a 1-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a small adult female dummy.
Wow. Do you give them names?
We do give them names. We don't publicly really say them, but yeah, there are names that have been acquired over the years for those
Brilliant.
dummies.
That sounds really, really fascinating. But I think maybe we have another podcast there, Bianca. So let's just take you back to your teen years if we can, and just to sort of get you to think about what's your most prominent memory of being a young adult with PKU?
I would say I had quite a large group of friends from high school, and they were all really supportive with me. So we would get together and do the usual teenage things: go to movies or go out, have sleepovers, things like that. And they were always really supportive and looking out for me. They would double check I could eat everything that I'm grabbing. Like, Bianca, can you have that? I'm like, yes, I can. But yeah, they were fantastic and really understanding. And I think I'm extremely lucky to have that experience as well, because I know not everyone has that kind of experience growing up. And I'm super grateful for that.
So they were your support network then?
100%. Even my family as well, from day one, obviously, have been extremely supportive. My mum and my dad, everyone in my family extended family. We do big Christmases and Easter, and we have, the whole 10-course meal.
Wow.
But I'm always first to be served. So and everyone, aunties, uncles, really put in, special effort to give me food that I can eat.
Brilliant. It's nice to hear that you've had support from such a young age.
100%. Yeah. I grew up, my grandmother looked after me quite a bit, my grandfather, and they always cooked me a lot of pasta. And, I had a lot of beautiful food that was adapted for a low protein diet. So, yeah, I'm extremely lucky to have that support all round.
Great. So maybe you've touched on it a little bit, but maybe just give us an insight into what it was like growing up with PKU.
Yeah, so I've got a older sister and a younger brother. So I'm the middle child, only one with curly hair, only one with PKU as well. So very much middle child. I think I was made to feel special, I guess, and special in a good way. I was taught that I did have to, follow a special diet and eat low protein to be healthy. And that's something that I had a lot of support through. So I grew up, my mum always making my food and being very careful with, and this is 35 years ago as well, with the knowledge that we had back then, which I think, and the resources that we had back then, which is very different to today. So it wasn't so easy as jumping online and having that kind of, support through social networks. It was, we had camps in Australia once a year, and also, meeting people at clinics. So it was very different back then. So I can see now as an adult how much effort that would have taken, and and not having the knowledge that we do today, or the support between other people with PKU as well, or family members that my parents could, kind of bounce ideas off. So I can really acknowledge that now.
So actually touching on that a little bit, what has changed since you were younger and now in terms of PKU?
So I think I used to love the camps. I was actually always nervous to go, but once I was there, I enjoyed them so much. But in between, I wouldn't say we had much support or contact with other people with PKU. But now with, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everything like that, you're able to connect with people across the world. And that's made me feel more heard and understood by others that go through the exact same thing that you do, and have, sometimes you grow up feeling certain symptoms that might relate to PKU, and you think, maybe that's just me, but it is nice to kind of connect with people and understand that this is a common thing between people with PKU, kind of bounce ideas of what you can do to help combat those. So yeah, it's been really fantastic.
So to pick up on that support network you were talking about there, Bianca, in terms of, if we take it back to the camps that you said happened annually, do you still keep in touch with any of those people that you met then?
Yeah, I do, even now. So I do have some people within my state in Australia, but then others in different states. So Victoria, Queensland, and I'm in New South Wales. And as adults, we still catch up. There's retreats now that we attend all together as well. And yeah, it's fantastic. It's so nice to have. We've got a little group chat as well that we all, literally daily, we're messaging each other and, talking about PKU and how it affects all aspects of our lives, but also all the other aspects of our lives that we're happy to share and celebrate.
Oh, that's great to hear. So I'm guessing it's not pen pals and letters now. It's actually the instant messaging.
Yep, that's right.
Great. So with that sort of, the support network and everything you've spoken about there, and looking back, so for teenage girls who are watching or listening to this podcast, is there any specific advice you would give them that you would sort of possibly give yourself if you were looking back?
I think being a little bit vulnerable and really connecting with people. I think when you do that, it opens up how you're feeling, and I think we can learn a lot from each other as well by doing that. And I guess for myself, I did feel certain things. So, like even today, I guess it's an ongoing thing managing your PKU. As I've grown up, I have different challenges at different stages of my life. But back then, I would get quite lethargic, timing of my supplements, things like that, how to eat, how to exercise, and how to combine that with the low protein diet. Um, just you try and figure that out on your own, but there's other people going through the same thing, and sharing ideas is really crucial. So I think that's number one, kind of opening up about what you're going through and talking about it, communicating. And then the second is kind of, I guess, find your reason why you do your best to stick to your low protein diet. What is it that, you know, it's not about the PKU. It's because for myself, I wanted to excel academically, and I wanted my brain to be healthy to do that. And so to achieve that goal, first then comes the PKU management and making sure that I do that so then I can achieve the next thing, which is the greater thing that I want to do. Yeah. So like kind of find your why.
Find your why. I really like that. And that's sort of really a positive mindset in terms of not thinking that the PKU is first. It's like, that's my goal. That's what I want to achieve. And then focusing on your PKU and managing that secondly.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess when you do, you're always tempted with food. Everyone is, I think. It's not specific to us. So in those moments, you can kind of remind yourself, why am I doing this? It's to protect my brain, to be able to do whatever it is, sporting, academic, anything, just to be a good partner, to be a good mother to my children, things like that.
So actually you touched on there that, or it sounds like that you really nailed fueling for performance. Can you give us a little insight into what that looks like on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I think I wouldn't say I've nailed it. I think it's been a constant experiment, I guess. And I think everyone is also different. So as well as sharing, it's also acknowledging that every single person with PKU has different mutations, different ways their body, works as a whole system. I've played hockey growing up, and I did up until recently. And I would always feel extremely tired and pretty much crash after a hockey game, and I'd need to nap. And I've tried various different combinations of, making sure I've got enough calories, having some carbs, having my supplement, having a little snack at halftime, bit of energy. And yeah, I'd say it has improved with time, and especially with personally going on some of the medications that are available now. So such as Kuvan, that's really, I feel like, helps stabilize myself and have more constant energy. So it's still, as I said, there's challenges at all stages of my life. And I think I'm still trying to work things out as a 35-year-old. So I think it's always very fluid, and you kind of have to adapt and accept these things as time goes on.
Absolutely. We're always learning, aren't we?
Yeah, 100%. Yes.
And you touched on there before that you're aiming to be a good partner, a good mother to your children. I guess, what does it look like for you having a good supportive partner? What can your partner do to support you with your PKU?
I think understanding what you go through. I guess no one can truly understand how we feel day to day, but being able to have open communication about how you're feeling, and I guess on your days where you're not feeling 100%, being able to kind of balance you out and be that support system on those days, and recognizing that, you know, it's tough. It's not easy to follow such a low protein diet every single day, and you try your best, and recognizing that, you know, sometimes on those bad days, it might not even be a kind of fault of your own. You might be getting sick or something like that, which can elevate your levels. And for me, what that looks like is being quite tired and lethargic when my levels kind of fluctuate, and also just getting annoyed a little bit quicker and sooner than I would usually. A bit like moody, I guess. And it's easy. Sometimes you can feel guilty for that. And I think it's like recognizing that that's a part of kind of a physiological thing that's happening within you, and just being able to acknowledge that and kind of help you through it as well.
And actually taking a few steps back, just on something you touched on there, what were those first or initial conversations like when you first met your partner? How did you discuss PKU? Tell us a little bit more about that, I suppose.
I think my partner Felipe, like, we both met and we both love food, so we would go out, and I think it happened very naturally and organically that I just kind of mentioned I have this special diet that I have to follow. I've got a medical condition, and it is a lot for someone to take on, I guess. It's kind of the whole world of food gets kind of, I'm on 6 grams a day. It just really diminishes to not much. And I'm carrying around my pasta to bring to a restaurant. So it is quite a big thing to bring up with someone, but someone that, you know, is there for you and that is right for you as well will understand that and do whatever in their power to make you comfortable, make sure your needs are met, because at the end of the day, that's super important. And I think it's important to kind of make that known. And that is, you know, I don't really let go of my, like, I'm very happy to be able to say and confident to say, look, I need to eat this. I won't, I guess, get in a situation where I feel pressured to do something because I know how it affects me then, and I don't want to feel the way I do. So I think I'm lucky in a sense that I do feel the consequences of eating slightly higher. So it's just very easy for me to go, like, I kind of really need to find a restaurant that would, you know, hopefully suit your needs as well, and you will enjoy a meal too, obviously, I hope. But also somewhere I can sit and eat too. That isn't just a salad.
So it's a supporting partner, and being honest is sort of your advice.
Yeah, I think communication is extremely important, and just being honest and making sure, like, our medical needs are met, but also the support that comes with it as well.
And you spoke a few moments ago about how differences have been in medication over your time since you were a teenager and growing up. And can you just sort of highlight the way that things have hopefully become better within that time period?
Yeah, I'd say so. For the vast majority of my life, I had, you know, a dietary therapy, so 6 grams that I was eating. Over time in Australia, there's a lot of vegan, vegetarian options, gluten-free, dairy-free, which have been amazing. And so I grew up not having like a milk substitute, I guess, that was like readily available in a shop. And I remember being so excited that rice milk was on the market. And then when that started being used by cafes to make a coffee, I was so happy I could have a cappuccino. It was amazing. Like, you get so excited. Then I had my first milkshake, and it was like there was just a stream of things. And then being able to have, you know, coconut yogurt, and now there's gluten-free pizza bases, all these things, that it just exploded, and that was a huge advancement. And then I guess the medications that were also being developed to treat PKU were coming to market slowly. And we do have just the one on the market at the moment, which is Kuvan, which I've been able to start taking. And I think the biggest benefit is I think it's more the how I feel rather than a huge increase in protein. I would say I feel more stable in terms of mood. I'm just happier, and I'm quite a happy person anyway. But it's amazing the difference it makes mentally to myself, and then also energy wise. So yeah, I've had quite a few benefits from it, which I'm extremely happy and feel privileged that I get to take this medicine as well. That makes me feel better.
Great. And so you mentioned there's been advances in natural foods because of veganism and the popularity of being a vegetarian and so forth. There's been advances in drug therapy. How about your protein substitutes? Have they changed in the last few years?
Oh, 100%. I think when I switched over to a GMP base supplement, I love my formula now. Like, I have no issues taking it. As a child, I was actually spoon-fed my formula, I remember, because it was hard to take. But over time, I think it's come a huge way, and I think we're all extremely happy about that. And so grateful for the people that have worked on them too.
So just for those listening who aren't aware of what GMP is, it's short for glycomacropeptide. So it's essentially a byproduct of the cheese-making process. So it makes the protein substitute a bit more palatable, I suppose.
Yeah. It tastes completely different. I'd say the acidity of the other amino acid supplements is a lot less. And for myself, my stomach feels better, and I feel better drinking that as well.
And how have these advancements helped in terms of your traveling?
I think in terms of like supplements, it's just easier to take. I guess it doesn't smell anymore. I used to bring my supplement to like a school camp, and I remember my friends or people saying, "Oh, that smells," and my container would really stink at the end of those few days. So I think it's just the ease of taking them, having choice as well, whether you do want a liquid base, like ready to drink, or you do want a powder form. That for myself, if I go away, say for work, I'm away for at least a week. So that helps to have a powdered form so it doesn't take up too much of my shopping space in my bags. And then the food choices, but also the, I guess, acceptance and understanding from people and restaurants, and being able to accommodate dietary requirements has been, a massive advancement as well.
So you mentioned that you travel quite a lot. How do you get around that with your PKU, other than what you've just mentioned about the protein substitutes? What are the steps that you take when you go away?
So when I travel overseas, I get a letter from my PKU specialist that just states that I'll be bringing PKU supplement on the plane, and that I'd have on me like medical low protein food as well. So that just gives me, a bit of potentially extra weight for my in-cabin luggage, but also ability to bring on liquids too, beyond what's allowed. And I think traveling overseas depends on the country, the availability of some foods. I've traveled around Europe quite a bit. I've been to Asia too, and also South America. I'd say certain areas have more availability for products that are readily available in supermarkets, like substitutes for dairy and, gluten-free kind of products too. So I didn't find that too bad, but I always pack my bag full of low protein foods too, just just in case. You never know. But I think what I find difficult as well is I can feel when my body needs my supplement or I really need to eat. And I have a window, like a little short window of time that if I don't get to eat or have my supplement within that period, it really does affect my energy levels. And then I don't know exactly what's happening in my body, where it's a Phi fluctuation or something like that. But then I do really, find it hard. Being from Australia, traveling to Europe, that's a huge long flight. And you're changing time zones as well. So to try and marry up what my body feels like and needs in the Australian time, but in Europe in the middle of the night, once I'm there, is a bit of it kind of takes a day or so to switch over.
And do you actually work that out on Australian time or European time?
I work it out for the plane. I work it out on Australian time and I go, okay, I'm going to be having my breakfast, lunch and dinner on the plane. But I need to, it's just, I think I sometimes have a bit of extra formula to bridge that gap because otherwise it doesn't work for me.
So if somebody's listening to this podcast and thinking, I want to travel, and clearly you're inspirational in terms of the blogs you write and in terms of the way you talk about your travel and how nothing's held you back, what is one piece of advice you would give somebody who's thinking of traveling?
I'd say to be adaptive and to be able to, adapt to the situations you're in. And like nothing's going to go perfectly, or if it does, that's amazing. But to kind of have some grace in how you manage yourself. So just to be flexible in, sometimes I'll have a supplement to kind of tide me over until I can get some food into me. So it's just being able to, manage a bit differently and have those adaptive behaviors just to make things work in the short term.
And do you do any research on countries you're visiting in terms of, what sort of diets they have and what might be available?
Yeah, I look up what foods they have. As soon as I get to a new country, I love going to the supermarkets and I'll kind of just grab all the new snacks. Yeah, finding new food. I think I love just discovering new things and as you said, learning. And I always like to find new things. So walking to supermarkets, going into, the aisles with all the different vegan cheeses or the crackers, all those kinds of things. That excites me, weirdly. I think other people in the PKU community have this feeling too. It's just super exciting to find new foods or different versions of foods that you have in your own, local supermarkets or the country that you're from.
I hear you. I can relate. I love going to new countries and going to supermarkets and spending hours looking at their foods.
So do I. Maybe it's a connection between the three of us.
It's just us.
No, but it sounds like preparation. That's the key word here.
100%. Yes, that's right.
So Bianca, if you take yourself back a few years, maybe say 20 years, you said you were 35, and what would you tell your younger self now, knowing what you know now?
I think that having PKU doesn't define you, and that that's just a part of who you are. It is part of who you are, but you are so much more than that. You can, achieve what you want to achieve as long as you put your mind to it and keep yourself healthy. Part of that is, following your low protein diet or and taking medications and supplements, but also being healthy. So staying active, eating low protein, but healthy low protein as well. Low protein meals, lots of vegetables, fruits, things like that. That you're going to have so many more foods that you can enjoy in the future as well. It's not as restricted as it was once back then. And that your support system and the amazing people that we have online across the world, literally across the world, but also close to me. My family and friends really do support you and make the biggest difference in being able to manage every day. It isn't, the easiest thing to live with, but I think having those people around you to support you and to keep you on track is really important as well. But yeah, like I said, the online community has been amazing, that kind of development in the last 10, 15 years. Whenever I do travel, I kind of make a point to meet someone with PKU. So I've met people in Vienna, England, here in Australia, had Annie come over and we went for a huge walk together with another girl, a lady that has PKU here in Sydney as well that I've never met her before too. So that was fantastic. Yeah, people in Germany too. It's lovely. And I guess I've always found a really strong connection with anyone that I meet with PKU. I think we all share such a similar experience that you can't help but connect with someone that lives your everyday the same as you. It's really nice to have that.
You spoke right at the very beginning about your achievements and how you've progressed and your focus on your academic life, and obviously that's led to your research and your career now. And how easy has it been, in inverted commas, to sort of go through all of that progression?
I think over time it's changed. In school, I think it was, it was challenging, but I loved pushing myself. I did well academically in school, won some awards, and that drove me. I guess like that was kind of a bit of a lit a fire in me to push myself. University was, and that's a different experience, kind of managing your diet while at university. You're always on the go. I was running between classes I did engineering, but also psychology, and they were on different sides of the campus. So I had 5 minutes to get from like one end to the other end of the uni, which took me 15 minutes. But it was nonstop. So that was hard. It was tough, I have to say. I felt like I was juggling balls, and inevitably when, life gets hard for anyone, you end up dropping a few. But I guess I never saw that as kind of like just give up on my diet. It was always, that was one kind of not so great decision, but my next one was always with the best intentions again, kind of never let it go. Again, coming back to my why, it's like, I know I need to feel good to be able to finish my degrees. So that's something that I did. But I finished with honours in engineering and a psychology degree too. Then I worked in research for 5 years before I started my PhD, which was great. That was in engineering and looking at child restraints and safety. I loved it. I love learning new things. I love challenging myself, I guess. And it was difficult towards the end of my PhD. Again, you're like juggling all these balls. I think doing a PhD is hard for anyone, and especially at the end when you're writing up and it's all coming together, it's all quite stressful. So I can't say that, as I said, you're always going to have challenges in how you manage your PKU at different stages of your life as life intersects with your management. It's going to happen, and you kind of need to, again, be adaptive and give yourself a bit of grace and just say, okay, this is the situation now, or like right this second, but that doesn't mean that every single choice going forward has to be like that. And it's kind of catching yourself and getting back, on the horse and keeping going. But I was able to finish my PhD, super proud of that. And now I'm working in research, and again, proud of what I've achieved, because I know it took a lot of effort. It took a lot of work to to be able to manage myself and get through it all.
You should be proud of yourself. You're an inspiration to all of us, that's for sure.
Oh, thank you. I think I'm a bit stubborn, stubborn but determined, I think. And I think that works in both PKU management a little bit. It's being very determined to kind of keep pushing through.
Right, Bianca. So you've talked about how things have changed, and you've talked about your very successful career in research, etc. So if we sit here now and we look into a crystal ball, where do you see yourself in 15 years, and how do you see the management of PKU within that time frame?
I think in 15 years, my focus would be on a family and raising a family as well with my partner. I think that's another life stage again that needs another change in, how I manage my PKU, being adaptive in that. I've got some friends in Australia and across the world that are women with children and they have PKU, and it's inspiring to see how, and again, that's like a different level of motivation. You've got a child that, you obviously they come first, but then to be able to look after them to the best of your ability, you also need to be at your best. So I guess that why changes as well. My why at that stage would be, to be the best version of myself, to be able to look after my children to the best of my ability to, and to be a great partner to, my partner as well, and to be able to work together to raise our children. As I said, I've got some role models in my life who, have PKU and they raise their children as well. And it's amazing and very selfless that role too. And I'm excited for it, and I can't wait for it as well. But it will be great.
So, Bianca, thank you for sharing that, and good luck with all of that. But just let's think then of the management of PKU alongside all of that. I mean, how do you see that progressing in the next 15 years? Or how would you like to see it progress?
So, in the future, I'd really love to see more attention put towards aspects of PKU that aren't just about the fee number and the value. I think a lot of people with PKU do have some difficulties and challenges with mental health, but also how we feel every day. So I think there's really two aspects to that. There's kind of just living, being a person with a rare disease, but also then how we feel inside physiologically because of things happening within us. So there's like kind of two aspects: how you manage and kind of the constant thoughts that you have calculating protein and remembering to do things related to sticking to your diet, but then the aspect of how we actually feel physiologically just inside when we do have fee fluctuations or we have energy crashes, things like that.
Oh, that's brilliant, Bianca. I think it's really nice what you touched on there. It's not just about fee, it's about how you're feeling, how you're living with PKU on a day-to-day basis. And we need to consider that more, perhaps, the holistic approach rather than just the medical side of things. But no, that's been a really, really insightful chat to you today. Thank you for sharing so openly with us.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for giving me the opportunity as well to just share a bit about myself and chat with you today.
Our absolute pleasure. Genuinely.
Yeah, and genuinely, good luck with everything.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And to our listeners, if you like this episode, please like and subscribe to this podcast and share with anyone you think might benefit from tuning in. Thank you for joining our vibrant community of VitaFriends, and for more information, please visit our VitaFriends website. And Kit and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.